college enrollment is expected to rise from approximately 20 million students in 2016 to over 23 million by 2025. The average student loan debt in America is currently over $30,000 per student. And shockingly, a recent study found that in the first 2 years of college, 45% of students showed no gains in critical thinking. If this is true, this begs the question, are schools failing us? Before we can answer the question, we have to go over a very brief history of human education. For 90% of our existence, humans have lived as nomadic hunter-gatherers. In those days, the dominant form of learning occurred between families and tribes. We learned to hunt and gather from those around us. Around 10,000 BC, an agricultural revolution occurred. This dramatically changed the ways in which we live. Humans began to settle down and form early civilizations. Agriculture was a massive part of our lives up until the Industrial Revolution. As you can imagine, this agricultural period covers a large span of time from approximately 10,000 BC to around 1760 AD. In this period of time, we shifted from primarily tribal learning to various types of apprenticeships. An apprenticeship takes on a very broad meaning here, such as working under a master craftsman, a slave master, or being part of a guild. Essentially, education started to shift away from the family unit. The next major revolution, the Industrial Revolution, marked another drastic change in our education. It was during the industrial period that schools as we know them formed. But how did it happen? The Secretary of Education for the state of Massachusetts at the time, Horace Mann, studied several systems across Europe to find the one that he believed would be the best for America. He concluded that the Prussian model would be the best. It was funded by taxes, attendance was mandatory, and it had specially trained teachers. But the thing is, many people might not know that the Prussians used their school system as a way to instill obedience to authority in young students. In fact, a Prussian philosopher by the name of Johann played a key role in forming their educational system, and he said that if you want to influence a person, you must do more than merely talk to him. You must fashion him, and fashion him in such a way that he simply cannot will otherwise than what you wish him to will. Now this is where conspiracy theorists might call it a day and reduce the entirety of public education in America to that of a brainwashing machine. I don't agree. In Mann's journals, he openly acknowledges that the Prussians were using their system of education for evil, but he believed that it could be used for good if it was put in the right hands. So Mann advocated heavily for the Prussian model, and it became the one implemented in America. The next step was to create a standardized educational experience. In 1892, a committee of 10 people was selected to oversee the standardization of education in America. At the time, education was too varied across different schools to accurately gauge which schools were doing well and how different students ranked compared to one another when assessing them for college admissions. So this committee of 10 studied schools across America and saw that there were approximately 40 different courses being studied among the various schools. They narrowed this list down to the 9 courses that they deemed to be the most important, which were Latin, Greek, English, other modern languages, mathematics, physics, astronomy and chemistry, natural history, history, civil government and political economy, and geography. After these 9 courses were selected, the committee of 10 selected 10 more members for each course to answer questions such as, when should this subject be introduced? When should different parts of it be introduced? How long should it be studied for? And what parts of the subject should be studied? Together, these few people shaped the curriculum for all future students. Although there has been some changes to this curriculum, a large part of this curriculum still makes up the core of K-12 education. At the time this public and standardized education was created, I believe that it was quite progressive and innovative. There are actually lots of benefits to a public and standardized education, such as it's free, it allows us to run schools more efficiently, maintains a minimum level of quality, and all people must be treated equally and allowed to receive an education regardless of race, sex, class, creed, or status. And lastly, it acted as a powerful economic machine during industrial times and allowed the middle class to grow. How could a system that did so much for our economy go so wrong? That's what we'll talk about in part 2 of this video. This video is sponsored by our friends over at Blinkist. Blinkist is an app that summarizes some of the key insights from over 2,200 of the best-selling nonfiction books. They have an expert editorial team that selects the most relevant books at the time and teases out the key concepts in an easily digestible format called blinks. These blinks can be used to introduce you to new topics, books, and writers, help you vet books before buying them, prime you for an upcoming read, and refresh your memory on things you read in the past. Blinks can be read in short 5 to 10 minute bursts or listened to in audio format so you can squeeze in some learning anytime during the day. Blinkist subscriptions normally start at $49.99 for an entire year, but Blinkist is offering an exclusive deal for Freedom and Thought fans. You can click the link in the description below to receive 20% off a new subscription or try out the free trial for Blinkist. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.